After being delayed a week due to Mother Nature's icy weather, the Lebanon podcast returns with episode 151. This installment features Lebanon Community School Corporation Superintendent Dr. Jon Milleman. Dr. Milleman recaps the first 100 days of school and looks ahead to LCSC's future with several improvement projects underway. Episode 151 of the Lebanon podcast starts now.
Welcome to the Lebanon podcast, highlighting all the great things happening in Lebanon, Indiana. Have an idea for an episode? Send an email to lebanon@lebanon.in.gov.
Hey everybody, and welcome to this episode of the Lebanon podcast. I'm Joe LePage, the Community Development Director. Joining us this time around, Lebanon Community School Corporation Superintendent Dr. Jon Milleman. We are clear of the first 100 days of school. Dr. Jon, thanks for being here as you exhale after cracking triple digits.
It's great to see, especially our elementary students. They like to dress up and in their 100-year-old costumes and celebrate that. But in a realistic sense, you're on the downhill side of the school year, so that sense of urgency to get through the standards and help our students academically and get to the finish line for our seniors is becoming real.
And it's got to be a whirlwind of emotion, like you talked about. It's yes, a sense of accomplishment, but at the same time, if you've got some things you need to work on, or some of those things, there is that it kind of tightens a little bit. The air is harder to breathe.
It is, yeah. Those senior compositions are upon us that we all had to endure, and we'll do all we can to get them through. But also there's those transitions that we need to prepare for too, with our fifth graders that will be moving to the middle school and our eighth graders moving to the high school. And, for the first time, those eighth graders creating a high school schedule. And it's just a different, we all know that have done it. That's a different feeling, and, need to create supports around that. And then, of course, the elementary students, the fifth graders moving to middle school, where you have a little bit more independence, if you will, and so they need to be ready for that. And
I'm guessing with you, it kind of keeps you on your toes too, because you mentioned the things that you're doing to help out students and staff and things like that. But I'm guessing the emotions, you have to be ready to be able to help kids that are getting ready to transition, like you talked about. But then a teacher in a class that they really love, and seeing students go on, or maybe elation if there's that class that, okay, thank goodness.
I'm sure there's none of those.
No, none of it. But you got to be, thinking on your feet to be able to provide a
elementary especially, where you're with one teacher for the most part, other than your related arts classes, and to the middle school where you have 6 or 7 or 8 teachers to manage their expectations and et cetera. It's a new culture for them.
And what has added to it, everybody, this, if you've driven around any part of town, you no doubt have seen some sort of construction going on, improvements taking place throughout the corporation, all different campuses and all shapes and sizes. That's kind of added a little bit of a wrinkle to the first 100 days, and that the stress and the excitement and all those things.
That word. I think we can just use the word stress.
Yeah,
it causes stress.
There's good and bad stress. It's just all
there is. You have to navigate it and keep a positive attitude. But we're getting into the phases of construction now where we will need to ask teachers to vacate maybe a current classroom and then move, in the case of Perry Worth, they may be moving into some newly constructed classrooms. That would allow us to go into current classrooms and renovate, and then we'll kind of start that rotation of a new group of teachers moving into new classrooms. Harney's very similar. We're just about completed with the gymnasium project in the main office. The new main office will open after spring break. The gymnasium will as well. However, the gymnasium will become where our students enjoy their lunches, because we're going to be renovating and converting the current gymnasium into classrooms. So now the displacement starts and some of the rotation starts. And so we work, of course, with our construction managers, and they work with the schools and the principals to communicate that and assist with that. But when it's real and it's part of the reality, it does cause a little anxiety.
When you guys did the groundbreaking, and there were a lot of pretty pictures and a lot of big smiles and a lot of excited anticipation. Now, like you mentioned, it's really kind of the rubber's meeting the road, and it's getting a little bit uneasy.
Yep.
But just kind of how progress
goes. But it's planned
goes.
out well, and our teachers and students will have academic spaces to meet their needs, and and they'll adjust as they go along. But we're excited to look forward to that spring, summer of 2025 when we can have those keys turned over to us and do the final punch outs for those buildings.
And what's it like for you to go from different campus to different campus to be able to see all the different changes at different phases, different levels of a completion?
Yeah, it's exciting. I mean, we're at the stage now where final paint colors are going on some of the classrooms, both at Perry Worth and Harney. As far as the gymnasium goes, I've got the ceiling painted in there last week. So it's starting to look like space. They're putting the ceiling grids in at the Perry Worth classrooms and getting it all, the envelope of the building closed in. And so you're starting to get a sense for what the corridors will look like and the space of the classroom. And once the glass goes in, I noticed today at Harney, I was at Harney today, and they're starting to put the glass in the new main entrance. Up in the peaks of the new main entrance. So now it's not the Visqueen, now it's glass. And so you're starting to see what the outside trim work's going to look like, and it's starting to feel like an accomplished project. So it's very exciting to see that happen.
And I'm guessing you, just like all the teachers and some of the students as well, the anticipation of what that final, like you mentioned, being able to have those keys and being able to let students and staff into their brand new digs.
Yes,
To be
and we're seeing some, like I mentioned, some of the colors and finish work. We made a decision in this building project across the district, including the middle school, which we can touch on if you like. We have standardized our tile, our carpet, the various colors. Sometimes the colors are in different combinations depending on the school, but we're staying with the same color palette in all of those schools. So you're like, boy, this is going in 4 or 5 schools. I hope this looks nice. And you're starting to see it in person, and it does. So it's exciting to see that in action.
Everybody, we're talking with Lebanon Community School Corporation Superintendent Dr. Jon Milleman here on this episode of the Love in Lebanon podcast. And you mentioned it, Central Elementary, Harney Elementary, Perry Worth, all receiving significant changes or becoming new schools, like in the case of Central. But you mentioned LMS, Lebanon Middle School, also undergoing some changes and some roadways and some pickup and things along those lines being changed as well. Yep. I'm guessing that minorly hindered with all the wet weather possibly, but still on course hasn't begun.
We won't break ground on the middle school till likely June of this year. So we're not in any stages where folks are going to feel any pinch. That will begin next school year, but much of the same priorities that we had at the elementary school, high quality, modern facility for our students. We're going to increase the capacity of the middle school. This is a major renovation at the middle school. Traffic pattern that you mentioned, separating bus traffic and car traffic. We're reconfiguring what that will look like. Buses will end up parking on a different side of the building, relocating the main office, building a new cafeteria, and relocating the media center to what it now kind of overlooks the administration center, tennis courts, if folks know what I'm talking about. So that side of the building, to open up the inside of the building with wider corridors, more easily supervised, give our students more space to operate. And so we're really looking forward to that. But this one is a major renovation, and it's going to take 3 years probably to get through that project.
And you mentioned it perfectly that major is the best descriptor of this, because this is going to be a game changer in a major way for that whole area up there. No matter if you're picking up a kid or you're attending an event or if you're just trying to get from point A to point B, there's going to be some change. There's going to be some feasibility.
And we won't feel the change right away at the middle school for those 5th graders coming in. They won't have construction greeting them inside the building. We'll start with the new additional spaces first, because we'll need those spaces to help us with that transition of classrooms. So as far as inside the building, there'll be very little impact early in the semester. So we'll be able to get students and staff in and acclimated and to get the changes going once we get inside the building and start some of that work.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Everybody, we're talking with Lebanon Community School Corporation Superintendent Dr. Jon Milleman here on the Love in Lebanon podcast. If we can stay kind of in the Lebanon Middle School area, it's not tied to the school renovation per se. It's a different kind of project, but athletically speaking, up on top of the hill in that area, some changes taking place with baseball, softball, all things on top of the hill.
New softball field, new field turf softball field, a new softball field there, made all of that area ADA accessible, poured new concrete pads, bleacher pads at our current varsity softball field, secured the area with fencing, just as you mentioned, it's just upgrades all around. We tore down the existing concession stand and restroom, built a new concession and restroom facility, which allowed us to add spectator parking that can be used for soccer as well as any of those events as well. And that'll be part of that middle school project where we tie in the new driveways and paths and roads that will connect all of it. And the other side of the middle school, then, it will connect to our new transportation center, which will sit between the middle school and the new elementary school.
Gotcha. And everybody, I know that you probably already know this. If you've had a kiddo you're dropping off, or you're attending soccer or softball, baseball, it's kind of a challenge getting back there, navigating around those spaces just because of the space issues. But it sounds like a lot of those changes now are going to help alleviate some of that traffic and the parking.
We should see a little bit of an assistance there for folks coming in. So
I'm guessing you're getting some of those excited check-ins from coaches and things like that too, wanting to be able to. So when can we come out and check this out?
It's not far away. I mean, it's January, moving into February, but which means that as soon as those warm days happen in mid-February, that's when we see the softball team, baseball teams out on the football field taking ground balls, and now the softball will be able to do it on their own field because they'll have that space to be able to do it, and so we're excited to do that. I think our first home game for kind of a ribbon cutting ceremony for that is in mid-March, if I'm not mistaken, so folks can look forward to that perhaps.
How excited are you for that, to be able to make those upgrades and be able to kind of modernize, athletically speaking, that whole part of the campus?
I think it's just great. I mean, we haven't been able to have our JV softball team compete at the same time as our varsity, which you have to wait until the varsity team's over. We have, we could be finishing some softball games late at night, and it's difficult for umpires, it's difficult for fans, it's difficult for the visiting teams, and so now we'll be able to have that, and it's just, again, like you said, it's just a good modern facility that's needed all across the board.
And so you're talking about things taking place right now. If you can kind of cast a vision to, we talked about being through 100 days of school, and now you're on not the home stretch, but you're on the back end of it anyway. What do you expect, and anything coming down the pike?
Yeah, I mean, this is the time of year that we may start hearing some information from our staff that maybe they're going to retire, or we all get to do that sometime, hopefully, and this is kind of the season that you start to see that if folks are relocating their families. It could be in Indiana or it could be out of state. Oftentimes our teachers are among that, where their spouse maybe have a new job opportunity or whatever. We'll start finding out that folks aren't returning. So we're engaging with the universities right now. We're headed to I believe Butler, Indiana Wesleyan, and Indiana University for their recruitment days. So we're always out trying to recruit new talent, and that's a big priority for us as we move into the springtime. And but just it's exciting. This is exciting for me, that second semester in the downhill side, because our seniors begin to see the finish line, and it's just neat to be around that group when they have excitement and anticipation and little trepidation, and it's all mixed together, and it's just kind of neat to be around them this time of year.
And I can still see the excitement on your face. Does it ever get old, this whole thing, the cycle of being able to help little baby birds and kind of send them off out of the nest, that type of thing?
And when it does, I don't know, it's time, but I don't see that anytime soon. We joke among us that the graduation day is kind of like our Super Bowl. That's what we get to have one every year, and so it's kind of neat to be. Commencement is exactly that. They're commencing. They're commencing with what's next, and we do what we can. And I have a couple. I think they're freshmen now. They gave me my first tour as superintendent at Central Elementary. And it's been kind of neat following them through and watching them now competing, whether it be in athletics. And one of the young ladies is a cheerleader for the high school now.
Oh my goodness.
She was a 4th or 5th grader at the time, and so those I don't know. This makes me smile to be around those kiddos. So.
And it doesn't make you feel old at all.
Nope.
No.
I haven't aged a minute.
If we can kind of wrap up with some of the kind of long-term changes, and we talked about before we hit record, some of the the pathways the folks are going to be able to have once they are looking to make that next step out of the nest and things like that.
Right.
The continued partnership that's coming up that folks can maybe this year and into next, perhaps?
Yeah, we're making some shifts in our pathways, career pathways. Part of the legislation that's moving through the state right now is helping guide maybe what graduation looks like, or different graduation pathways look like for our high school. So that's a big topic right now. So we're trying to navigate that. A couple that might be noteworthy is we're kind of beefing up, if you will, our teacher preparation, professional teaching pathway. So we have our cadet teaching program, but now we're going to have some fundamentals of teaching that will move into their cadet teaching experience. And we're tied in with Butler University, so our students can earn some additional college credit while they're in high school as they move hopefully into the teaching profession, maybe help us grow our own, but certainly help give back to the profession. So that's one, for obvious reasons, we're particularly excited about. And then folks might have noticed Gaylor Electric has been building on Indianapolis Avenue. And
beautiful
and
building.
Behind there, in the old RMC area, there is going to be their lab. And so our construction trade students beginning next year will begin their instruction there in a variety of construction trades, whether it be concrete work, framing, electrical, plumbing, steel work, masonry work. And the students will actually leave there after 2 years with an elevated apprenticeship level, which means that they could take that right into the workforce. They also are tied into Vincennes University, so they will have college credit as well. So even if they do go into the workforce, they're positioned well for that next level. They already have some college credit. They already have that apprenticeship. So they're well on their way to being able to earn a significantly higher wage right out of high school with that apprentice level. And then they could parlay that into additional degrees if they wish, with already some credits under their belt. So we're very excited about that partnership and be able to provide some workforce into that high demand, skilled trades area that's so highly needed.
Well, this ties in perfectly, and it's honestly, everybody, not a topic that Dr. Milleman and I talked about before we hit record, but that lends itself perfectly to commencing that career of high school, going on to the next thing.
Right.
Lebanon has really been a trendsetter when it comes time to celebrating those who go into the trades. It's not all about athletics. It's not all about four-year universities. It's the trades being able to go right into the workforce, if that is your jam, so to speak, being able to do that and have the tools to succeed. That's very forward thinking by LCSC.
Well, it is, and we give a nod to Molly Whitehead and her team, at Boone EDC and the chamber, and they're celebrating, students moving into the trades and understanding that there's so much growth in construction right here. Not only can our students move into that, they can stay home and move into that and continue to be part of our communities. And that's just the way it's supposed to work. Great schools, great communities, not just a slogan. It's we need to work hand in hand. And so we see that as a great opportunity for everyone.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
Dr. John, thank you for being here on the podcast. Appreciate it. Man, I feel like we could talk another 2 hours. There's so many other things that we could, maybe we'll have to have you back here sometime soon.
If we had pictures on the radio, I'd show some exciting construction pictures, but I would invite folks to go to the website. We have an entire page dedicated to that. It's updated. Lexi Britt Buis, our communications director, updates that often with new photos. And so I invite people to do that. And then also, I don't know when I'll be back again, but
whenever you want.
But would be, I want to plug, and I'll plug this. Maybe it's a topic for the next time as well. But we're very, very proud of a program we started called the Tiger Community Ambassadors, where we've invited parents and community members to come in and have a behind the curtain look at how the school operations work. So we have a dozen parents and community members right now as part of that. They've had 4 sessions, I believe, so far. Their last session was on school finance. And so they really get to peek behind the curtain about what goes into financing schools and the buckets of dollars and how they're able to spend. We have our curriculum and assessment did a presentation. We're taking them on school tours, construction tours. And so we'll be asking for another group. It's an application process. And we'll be asking for another group in the spring, summer to help get us positioned to be able to start the school year with another group of Tiger Community Ambassadors. So we'll have a little graduation ceremony for everyone. And it's just a great feedback so far from folks that are part of that into the community to see how things work from the inside.
And I'm guessing pretty effective and at the same time eye-opening for those folks getting a chance to take a look at it.
I think so. And we invite them to be critical and ask tough questions, and they do. And they do, believe me, and that's okay. We work for them, and so it's important for them to be able to ask those questions. And so it's just been a very positive program.
So foreshadowing, everybody, on the graphic you'll see on this podcast episode, whether it's on YouTube or iTunes, I'll have a graphic that shows some of the pictures that Lexi has been taking, some fantastic images there. But maybe the next podcast episode, we have you with some ambassadors that have had a chance. Maybe that's something that we kind of...
That'd be wonderful.
Yeah,
I'm sure I could arrange a couple of the ambassadors to join us.
Okay. Stay tuned for that, everybody. Hold us to it. It sounds like a great and exciting next podcast episode. Yep. Dr. John, thank you again. Appreciate it. Thanks, everybody, for listening to this episode of the Love in Lebanon podcast. More episodes are coming your way soon. Take care.